Hi, it's Paula from Paula Quilting. Welcome back to my channel. Here are the blocks I did last time, and I want to show you how the other options I've been working on since last tutorial. Here we've got a block with black frame and white background, and as you can see I've used some scraps of the white fabric as a background here. Lots of seams, but I like it that way. Next one is color in the hexi, black frame, and then the tip of the triangle is also colorful, and then white background. Next one, very easy, background fabric for the half hexi, black frame, and the same background for the rest of the block. Here I've got white half hexi, black frame, and then colorful fabrics. I use some adding tape scraps here as well, just everything goes. The last option is basically just one background, big half hexi, and I used white, but obviously you can use any background color you've got. And those blocks are going to be perfect to create the start and end of the rows when you're putting the quilt together with any of those options of the blocks. So let's have a look at some layouts I've managed to put together from all of those combinations. While you are looking at the options, I would just like to thank very much those few who used donation product on my new website and sponsored me by buying me a virtual lunch or a coffee. Also those who use super thanks on YouTube, that's another option for donations. It means really a world to me that you are watching it and you feel like it's worth giving something extra for that. Also, I would like to thank all of you for not skipping adverts when you're watching. This is how all of you can support me without spending anything. Okay, so let's try to calculate how many blocks we need for each row of the project. So unfinished block is 5 inches by 5 inches by 11 inches. And that gives us, if you sew it all in together, something 4.5 by 4.5 and 10.5 inches. Okay, so I need to start from somewhere. So if I take one of those white blocks and divide it into half, and that will be my beginning and my end for the row. So I just need to figure out the calculation here for the measurements. So it's not going to be 2.5, actually it's going to be 2.25 because I'm cutting it into half there. And then obviously it's 4.5, and then 5.5 at the bottom, a finished one, or 5.25 again because I cut it into half. So that's my beginning. Then we will do the full block, and that's 10.5 obviously, but I kind of have to figure out how to work with those angled pieces. So I'm just going to kind of divide it into sections to work with those and calculate the distances there. So the middle part of that bigger half hexi is 4.5. So this bit there is going to be, since I've got 4.5 in the middle and obviously rest divided by 2, it's going to be 3 inches. So now I know that section here, bigger section, is going to be 7.5 inches at the top. And I just double check it against the block itself. Well, we've got a few of them made already, so that's not a problem. It's better to double check something. So here it is 8 inches from the left to that corner at the top, so obviously that's unfinished, so finished will be 7.5. I'm not worried if I'm off a little bit, it's just something to go with, to know how many more or less I need blocks for any given project. So I will start with the smaller project, which will be something length 20 inches. So let's break it down into kind of all of the sections needed. So I need a beginning with, which is a half of the, let's say, white block. So that's 2 1/4 at the top there. Then I've got that section which is 7.5 inches. Then I will have another block which will be 7.5, which, you know, just a piece of the previous block, and then that 4.5 inch piece of the next block. So let's just break it down here as well. That's another 7.5. Well, actually, but that's I'm having too many inches now here. So obviously the last block here is actually gonna have to be half block. So that's another 2 1/4. So if I add it all together, I should have more or less 20 inches. So let's, you know, test the theory and see if it works. So I'm cutting my white block into half. That's the easiest one. Obviously I could use the color one as well, but I'm just testing the theory here, so I use my plain ones. So I need 2 half hexes in color. I'll just pull up, I will use the full color ones here, not the one with the white insert. So 2 blocks from my pile, and we've got the one plain at the end. So let's sew them together. So here, very important how you lay out the pieces with anything on the angle. So it has to stick out here 1/4 inch. That's where your needle is going to go, and needs to stick out here 1/4 inch. So then when you open it up and you iron your pieces, it will all line up in the top and the bottom. I had few other tutorials with that, and I will link it in the description below. Now, if it helps, maybe you have never done those before, so you can draw a kind of points on your one of the pieces. So I'm just marking here top and bottom where my 1/4 inch is. So where I now put them again together, I know exactly where my needle needs to be. I just, you know, you just make it a little bit easier. Once you make few, it should be kind of easier to target that point. So let's quickly run through the sewing machine, put all of those pieces together. Okay, so I'm measuring here, and I'm actually got some extra inches here. So I think I need to go back to my calculations. Let's have a look. So just need to figure out where I went wrong here. So let's have a look. I've got my piece here which is 7.5 inches, and the next one is 7.5 inches. Okay, I think there's issue with that last bit, so I'll just redraw it here clean so you can see better. So I've got the beginning here, then 2 full blocks, and the end. So I'm starting with the piece which is 2 1/4, then I've got that section which is 7.5 inches, then I've got another section which is 7.5 inches, then from the ending that bit is 2 1/4, but I forgot that piece in between, so that gives me that extra couple of inches. So when you sewing together, you need to remember about it. And that's why it gave me 22 inches when I've sewn the pieces together. If you need shorter, then you can obviously cut the sides to the size. If you need longer, you can add borders. Now for the rows, you just need to divide the number of inches you need by 4.5 inches, because that's the finish dimension. So again, you may not have exact number, so you might need to use either more or less. So if you use more, you're gonna have to trim it. If you use less, you will need to add some borders to get you to the size you need. So that's the options you've got, you choose what you like. So let me show you the actual project we'll be working today, which will be this funky table runner. So we'll first sew together the middle rows like we did just now. We just won't have a beginning and the end. And then we add the top and bottom. So the middle section is quite easy to sew. You just need to line up more or less the half hexes, and I will show you that now how I've added the top and the bottom. So I'm targeting to line up where the black frame starts on the inside of those small hexes, because that will be most visible if it's something not lined up. There's lots of seams there, so you can little bit pull where you need to, just not too much, because obviously you don't want to for the blocks to be distorted. Okay, so that's how it looks, and I will just do the same thing on the other side. Piece is ready, I will take it to the iron, make sure it's nice and flat. So I do want to do a self-binding table runner, so I need a piece of backing which will cover my quilt, piece of the quilt, and then the batting as well. You can use some Frankenstein style of batting if you have some scraps, that will work well here. I will put the link in the description below how to do that. Pin well all around, making sure it's all nice and flat. So you need to make sure it's all nicely ironed before you do that. And you can use a spray starch as well to keep it nice and sturdy for you. So trim a little bit all around, not yet to the edges, and I will show you a little bit later why. Here I'm just putting extra pins to mark when my start and end of the sewing is going to be, because obviously I need to have a spot there where I can pull it all around, and also I will sew on that edge a little bit in, but not all around, so I can turn it around later when it's done. So I'm sewing in with the 1/4 inch allowance and just work nicely and slowly on those angles there. Some seams should help you to find where that 1/4 inch is. Now here I've overshoot a little bit, so I actually went back and had to unpick a few stitches, and after I've done it I actually make a mark to kind of highlight for me where that 1/4 inch is. There was a seam there, but because there was a few seams together, it just wasn't visible very well where that 1/4 was, so I just made a mark there so I could stop easily with the machine. Okay, we're coming back to the beginning. So here I just want to go straight to the end and then turn and just sew another probably inch or so here, and then I backstitch here and stop. So that's exactly the same how I've started. So I can remove pins now, and we are ready to trim. Now trim by the edge except the spot where the beginning and end is, where is that open space. Leave a little bit more backing fabric there, but trim the batting so there is no bulk there when you're going to kind of fold it later to close up that gap. So just pull it over and just trim that bit there. You can obviously use for trimming scissors as well, just whatever you've got handy. Just go all around and just trim those extra edges there. Okay, so important step on the inside of the table runner on the inside seams are to clip it a little bit. So you want to clip it towards the seam, but obviously not through the thread, so you just need to be careful there. That will allow us to have nice crisp corners there when we turn that bit around. So just go around, go slowly, and just snip it there. Now all the outside edges, you just want to trim it. So again, go close to the seam, but obviously don't go through seam, and just clip it all around. That again will help us to have a nice crisp corner. So here, that bit here, so I will turn my table runner around now. Just go slowly and pull it on the other side. Now just put your hand in. You can use a pencil, something, you know, pokey but not sharp, because you don't want to go through the seams. I mean, I use my finger, and because I've trimmed those extra bulky bits, it was actually quite easy to go around. So just push it out nicely all around all the corners. If something doesn't kind of go in nicely, just go back in and maybe trim it more or snip it more, depending on the situation. So here's the beginning, so I'm just pushing that lining in, and then I will fold that edge as well. So it's easier to do it once you kind of ironing it. So I will take it to the iron board and do it there, and just kind of make it nice and flat. So I will iron all over the space actually before, and then I will top stitch, and then I just quilt it anyhow, you know, you quilt it anyhow you like. So go very, you know, go slower here, and go, you know, on that very edge, because remember that one side is folded just a 1/4 inch, so you want to have the top stitch less than 1/4 to catch all of those layers there, so nothing kind of come undone later. So that's the bit here. Just go slowly, and like I said, it has to be less than 1/4 to catch all the layers. Okay, so now I will quilt it. I will just probably go around and just follow the pattern of the half hexes or hexagons. I will see. Just do whatever you like. And here it is, my funky table runner. You can add more sections to increase the size. It will also make really nice placemats for a set. Thank you for joining me today. If you like this video, kindly share with your sewing friends, comment and click the like to support my channel. Also subscribe if you haven't done yet. Don't forget to check the description for additional information below. You can find me now on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and also on my own website page, which I've launched a few weeks back. I would be very grateful if you can follow me on any or all of those channels, and that will get the algorithms working. All the links are listed in the description below. Thank you for joining, thank you for watching, and see you next time.